Hey, welcome back to Happy Life, Better Life. Thank you for joining me today. Um, sometimes we make plans. We make plans. I remember when I was young, I was 19 when I got married, and my opinions and thoughts about life were that as long as we're together, as long as we, love each other, as long as we have each other's backs, no matter what comes, no matter what happens, we can make it through it. That was my way of thinking. And that's probably true, but I guess the harder part is you have to work to make sure that you have each other's backs. You have to work to make sure that you keep that love between you. And I think it takes a lot more effort than what I realized at 19, and also than most people seem to think even today. And you have to kind of renew that love in your heart. I don't think people know that, because you can love someone, but you can also at the same time begin to focus on all the things you don't like about that person, which then can make that person seem very unappealing to you. When there may actually be things that you like or love about that person, but if that's not your focus, if you focus on the negatives, then that's all you're going to see. And so, we make plans. But I think it's good to make plans. I think it's good to plan for love to last, to hope it to last, to want it to last, to work at it to make it last. I'm finding when you are in your 50's, life can be way, way more challenging than what we've been told, I guess. When I think of my grandmother, I don't really remember when she was my age per se. My grandmother just always seemed older to me, but she seemed wise. She seemed safe. Like whenever I wanted to be safe, whenever I needed to feel comforted, I always thought of my grandmother. And so I'm looking at myself now, and I'm in my 50's, and I don't know, somehow life does not look the way I thought it was going to look. I mean, we're talking about life. We'll say this year from last year doesn't look the way I thought it was going to look. I thought I was going to be someplace completely different, doing a completely different job, living in a completely different state. But here I am. And I guess I want to take this time to encourage you if life is not looking like what you wanted it to look like at this point. Sometimes we reach a certain plateau, a certain age, and we look at the things that we wish we had achieved or the things we thought we would have achieved by now, and it can be very depressing. It can really be depressing for some people. It can really be a lot of disillusionment there. And so if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling that way today, I guess I just want to tell you it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, and it's not over yet. One of the quotes that I used in the other video was, what happened doesn't matter, or what happens doesn't matter. What matters is how you respond to what happens. I went through so much transition this year that I remember there was a period of time for maybe like 3 weeks where I literally did not go out of the house. I mean, maybe by the end of the first week, maybe I went out once to go to the store to get something I needed to get. But pretty much it was like 2 to 3 weeks I was not around another single person. And I needed to give myself time to reset and to process and to sort of get my footing right again. So sometimes we need to take time, we need to come away. And I'm not saying you should do what I did. I think that may be a little extreme, even for me. It wasn't that I intended to be that way, but honestly, I was a little down, I was a little depressed. My mother's, I'm going to call him her husband, they were not legally married, but common law, technically, they were married. Except that she really wasn't divorced from my dad, but that's a whole nother story. But she had been with the man that she was with. They had been together for about 40 years, a long, long time. And when he got cancer and he was passing away, he made provision for her. He wanted to make sure that she was going to be okay. He wanted to make sure that my brother and I had her. He wanted to make sure that he got the financial things in order, by leaving his house to her and all these different things. And I didn't expect for grief to hit me so hard. I cared about him, but when I was a teenager, when I was young, we didn't have the best of relationships. And of course, as you get older, you grow. And, I didn't have any kind of malice or anything there. He and my mom had good times and bad times, but he was a good person, and I knew that he loved her. But when I saw him in the hospital and his body was so ravaged by cancer and chemo, I cried. I could barely go in the room. And when I came out, I had to literally leave the room because I knew I was going to start bawling like really, really bad. And when I went into the hallway and I found someplace and I was just crying and crying. And I was heartbroken for a while. He passed the next day. And every time I think about it, I'm telling you, my eyes start to well up. But it hit me really, really hard. And in your 50s, there's so much happening, with your parents, with your children. Your children, if you have grown children and they're having their life challenges or relationship challenges or things like that, there's like so much that you can take on that you sometimes have to tell yourself to let go. You have to tell yourself to let go. And you do have to start thinking about your own happiness. Sometimes as parents are aging, and even when we're trying to look out for their well-being, it can be a fight, it can be a battle. And then with your children, you can have, battles of a different kind. They may come to you for wisdom and advice, and you give it to them, and they may do the complete opposite of what you said, and it gets frustrating, and it wears on you. But you gotta, woo-saw, let it go. Let it go. And I know that's easier said than done, but believe me, I'm in a place where I've had to do it and where I've been doing it because it can literally affect your health. It can literally affect your health. I always say stress is a killer, so we have to be careful of how much stress we take on and how much stress we allow into our lives. So I'm saying this to you now in hopes that if you're in a place where you could be feeling a little low, that you find encouragement today. Don't feel disillusioned with life. Don't feel disillusioned with your dreams and where you thought you would be and what you thought you would have achieved by now. But just learn to still reach towards your goals day by day, but also to find happiness, peace, and joy in this day that you have. Love the people that you love. Share love every day. Speak love every day. Try to keep your heart open, you know. Try to keep your mind open. These are things I always say. So today, I guess I'll be talking and basically just saying that delusionment, you know, when you just feel totally disillusioned, sorry, I can't get my words out. When you feel totally disillusioned with your life, there is hope. You're still alive today. It's another day to get it right. It's another day to try to do the things that make you happy. So one day at a time. So that's all I want to say today. Be encouraged. Don't give up. Take time if you need to. And we are going to go into this new year and just appreciate each moment, each day. All right? Well, as always, I want you to have a happy life and a better life. Keep your head up, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.